Greetings, Space Cadets, and welcome back to another episode of Survive Unplugged, where you get your daily download of everything Survive Season 2 Galaxy Curse. My name is Zach Kruger, your host, your favorite mama's boy, and today's episode is titled Camp Life, but Make It Fashion. Today I'm joined with not two, like last night, but three special guests, all of them camp counselors. The first one is our camp counselor from Blazar, former fan favorite, Lydia Martin. Hello, Lydia. How are you?
Good.
Good. Nice to have you. And then I have two more guests, a former enemy of mine in my very first org, Brodin.
Hello.
And bestie of our host for like 7 years, Alisha Camera.
Since we were 7.
Since you were 7. Okay, got it. Since you were 7. So much longer than that. And they are going to be our camp counselors for Jovia. And welcome, you guys. How are you?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm happy to have all three of you. So today our goal is to get down in the nitty-gritty of camp life. We're going to start off talking about how the camps were established, who is in what tribe, and how the camp started literally being built from the ground up. Who was looking for sticks, who was starting fire, who was making rice, all of that good stuff. We'll look at some cool pictures, and then I want to know a little bit more tea on each of the players as we go along. Are you guys down for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, we have a wonderful slideshow. Let's go ahead and start with, should we go to Blazar Camp first? Here they are. Let's talk about all of our players. Lydia, this is your expertise. This is your team.
Yes, this is my team.
Tell us about these people.
So, as far as when we first landed at camp, kind of what the dynamics were, this was a very social tribe right away. They were all gathered around. It was like very collective mind. What should we do? They made their fire pit. I believe nobody really wanted to be the one to step up and do, like, be the shelter, like, let's do this and that, and, like, lead, but I believe that Mojo ended up putting up the shelter.
By itself?
I wasn't there when it happened, but he does claim to have taken the lead on that very proudly.
Okay, great.
However, I must say, the shelter itself is probably not the most well-made shelter I've seen in a live game, and they are going to have to do make some readjustments if it's going to rain at any point, because it will be a disaster for them as it is if it rains.
Which I think we do have rain on the forecast at some point this week, so we'll see if that comes into play. Now, you're saying this is such a happy group with a poor shelter. It doesn't sound like that seems to be a problem for them right now. Is camp life going well?
Yes, so everyone is getting along really well. I do see some people stepping up in certain roles. At first, I think people wanted to downplay their experience and maybe not take on roles that they knew they could fill. But Savannah has really taken the lead on the fire. She built the fire very quickly and has really been like the main one to probably tend to it for most of this time.
What materials did we get this season for fire making?
So they're just a flint.
That's it?
Yeah, so the clue originally that they had found when they first walked into their camp, they actually ended up burning that clue to start their first fire.
Okay.
So, yeah. And also, when talking about fire, I want to mention Kevin, because I think Kevin is someone who doesn't have this outdoor experience at all, and he's really eager to, like, soak it in and be like, I don't know how to make fire, but I really want to learn it here. Like, let me do this fire.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I can see him, like, really kind of out of his element, but, like, really getting into his element in a weird way. He's really excited about that. But yeah, everyone has really been pitching in, I feel, pretty equally as far as gathering firewood, tending to the fire, making the rice. It's very, they want to think it's very kumbaya, but then their confessionals are a bit different than kumbaya.
And we're playing Survive. It's never as kumbaya as we say, right? But we'll get into that in a bit. Do we have some pictures of this atrocious camp you speak of?
I'm not sure if we have a shelter picture.
Let's
but I
find
believe
out.
we have a few
Oh,
pictures
look. Okay.
out at camp. Yeah, that was
Oh,
the
this is
abduction.
post Galaxy Curse abduction.
Oh, we do have you can see the hammock that they won for reward in the background there, so that's a good addition to the camp for sure.
What else was one?
It was the hay bales, which I will say they won the reward yesterday, and I think they were all just so exhausted. They didn't utilize any of it until today. All of the hay they just kind of sat on. They didn't put up the hammock until today. And so far they haven't done anything with the hay besides just kind of sit on it, but I think they might have some plans to make their shelter and their bed a little better with that.
So on our season, so Lydia, you played with me, but we never got to meet because I got voted out so early. What a travesty.
I know.
Would you have worked with me, by the way?
I am open to working with anyone.
Oh,
so.
okay. What a wonderful political saying right there. I would have worked with you too.
Okay.
I think you're great. We actually used our hay bales and pulled them apart and used a tarp to make a beanbag. Eric, you were my camp counselor back then.
Yep.
What was that like?
No, I mean, watching both the tribes from last season, from Half Moon and Pistaki, two completely different ways to utilize the hay bale. Pistaki used it for chairs, and that was pretty much it. I don't think you guys ever took it apart, correct? They used it for more comfort. Bean bags, they spread it out in their bed to make it a little bit more padding. So yeah, it's interesting to see the two things there. And then I would have loved to see the other tribe also get hay, because it would have been nice to kind of see how one tribe did it and the other tribe did it. But they won. They can sit on their hay all they want.
Well, speaking of your tribe, I don't want to take all the limelight away. Let's go ahead and get up some pictures of Jovian. Hey, there we go. Alisha, let's hear from you. Tell us about how your guys' tribe got right into camp. What happened first? Who was doing what? Lay it out for me.
I think it was really a group effort in the beginning. They all just got right at it. I think we heard that our camp was up and running so quickly with a shelter, with they used stumps and made benches with wood.
Oh, okay.
Around the fire they found like stones to put around to make the fire pit. We did have the two people to initially start the fire were both Frank and Carrie, who are no longer with us.
Okay.
But other people had taken over the fire duties, so there was more on the tribe that could do that, but didn't initially step up to do that. So, but yeah, I think it all came together very quickly.
So a very industrious tribe in
Yes.
comparison to our
Yes.
more vacation tribe over here, Lazar. Do you agree with that statement? Though,
Yeah,
that you said?
the camp was up so quick. Kind of like she was saying, Carrie and Frank definitely took on like the more parental roles. Something that we wanted to point out is the very first time they get to camp, they see the saucer which has the advantage hanging from it, and nobody wanted to do anything, but they decided to open it as a tribe. But kind of going into the camp aspect of it, Carrie actually took apart that entire thing to use it as like a bowls for the rice, which I'm pretty sure your tribe did the exact same thing. So it's really interesting to see.
No hay bales, but
So innovative. No, it's so innovative. They literally took the entire thing apart, constructed little individual bowls as like little rice scoopers, and they all had their own little bowl for the rice. So I thought that was amazing.
And if you remember last year, the tops of the water bottles they were able to use because they were
Yes.
bigger circular things.
That was my idea last year. I do remember
And so
that.
they didn't have that this year, so they had to improvise with something else, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's get a couple of pictures of Jovian's camp. And let's take a look and see if we have anything on here. Oh, another Kumbaya picture. Tell us what we're looking at here. I see the bench that you're talking about.
Yeah,
with
so
the stumps.
they have their fire pit, standard fire pit. Something else they were able to also scavenge throughout the entire camp area is like these metal bars. They were able to use these metal bars, they had two of them, to kind of lay across the fireplace. They were able to utilize this for cooking rice, so they were able to put the pot safely right on the top of the fire, so that made it very easy for them. They have the wooden planks for chairs, as well as some of the stumps from the just the camp area. They have a couple pallets. They haven't really utilized the pallets for much other than, I believe it was Josh who just slept on them night one, just flat on the pallets. I don't know how much very comfortable that was.
He
but,
did actually have a mat. He hit
Okay,
the stone.
But yeah, so
It's
they
like a
still
luxury
have the
Yes,
pallets.
yes.
Maybe they can utilize that for something else down the line. but
And
right
whose luxury item was the shovel, or do we all get that?
now, I believe that was from. I think that was at the camp. Yes.
Oh,
That was
great.
so
Yeah,
they could
everyone-
take their own
everyone
fire
got
pit.
Everyone got
great.
the shovels.
Okay,
Yep.
great, great.
They also got
We can get one last year.
rope. They got 2 tarps. They had a machete as well, and the flint.
Okay, great.
So they got to use all those resources to build their shelter.
All right, let's look at another picture if we have one. Ah, our fire makers. So I see we're talking about Frank and Carrie already, and is this Jeff here going in attempting fire as well?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so very industrious. Do we think that no matter which way the tribes shake up with this group, they'll be able to survive on their own, right?
Yes, they'll be fine without those 2. Although it was so clear. Actually, you know what? Fun fact. So Carrie did the rice on day 1. They were definitely struggling day 2 on making the rice. They didn't have the correct water to rice ratio. It was very clear, hey, I don't know how to do this. What am I doing? They kind of had to just guess. They made it work, but Carrie had it down. She knew what she was doing. Once she obviously got transported to the other tribe, I can definitely tell that they struggled slightly.
That's fun.
They managed, but
Let's just compare really quick. Lydia, how is food going on your tribe?
I think it's going really well. Like he said, they did use the UFO to make bowls and such. It's just funny how you see, like you don't know that you even have something useful there until the need comes up. They were like, this is a good chance to make rice. They start making the rice and then they all of a sudden think, wait, how are we going to eat this rice?
Mhm.
And so it's just fun to see those little moments and kind of see them light up when they have like those aha moments of, oh, we can figure something out. So they always are going to figure something out, figure some way to do it. But yeah, they've been eating rice, and I think everybody's pretty happy with the food situation as of right now.
Okay, great. Let's all raise of hands. Who of us has played a live reality game before? Okay, so Alisha, you haven't played one yet, but we've been besties since 7 years old. Tell us why.
I do not have a competitive spirit. I just, that makes me anxious. I just want to be a part of everything and everyone have fun, but competitions and strategizing and having to kind of tell white lies sometimes, it's just, I feel so bad.
Not your thing.
Not my vibe.
That's okay.
But I love being here to experience everything and help out and just be a part of it because these really are such amazing people that I've met.
Yeah, and you are an integral part of camp life. I rely on you as the medical lead to tell me when people need me, and I don't have the same kind of communication that everybody else has. So I'm curious, since you have now gotten to see many players play the game, how would you go into a game and start camp life if you were to play this?
Oh.
Yeah, let's get down and dirty with it.
Well, I feel like I definitely have visions. So I feel like I would probably maybe come on a little too strong and try to organize of this is how we should do things. That might not go over so well with everyone, but that's probably what my natural being would do.
So
is
you would have a feng shui
see,
to our camp.
organize,
Okay, are you
delegate.
are you the one that's waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning and moving the couch to a completely different spot? Is this what you would do at camp?
Generally I'm not moving couches at 3 a.m. but I feel I would probably be cleaning up camp all the time, organizing. Okay, this is we got too much stuff everywhere. It's confusing. Got to get it organized, and people might be a little annoyed about that.
You never know. Somebody made a broom on our season, and people loved it.
That would
Okay, great.
is something I would do. I was literally at camp earlier, being I want to sweep the dirt.
Sweep the dirt off of the dirt.
Sweep the dirt off the dirt.
Hilarious. Well, thank you for that, Alisha. Eric, what games have you played recently, and what have been your roles when you start up camp life?
So I've never actually done a survivor LRG. I've only done one where I'm living in a house. So,
Okay.
So this is completely out of my element. I
Then
don't
let's
know.
ask you the same question.
I honestly, I think what I would probably want to do is be very innovative. I would want to be very resourceful, creative. I would look everywhere for whatever I feel like I can use to just make camp life more comfortable. The reason why I've never done a Survivor game is because I don't think I'm built to sleep outside or use the restroom in a public setting. Like, that's just not me. I'd rather use a real toilet behind a closed door. So I would just try to be as resourceful as possible just to make camp life more comfortable for myself and then everybody else as well.
That's a great answer as well. Lydia, I know you play live game in Survivor. Out in the game, you played Survive Season 1. What was your role? What did you do? And would you do that exact same thing again?
Yeah, so my role that I try to take in camp life, I'm really not good at what Alisha said she would be good at, delegating and having a vision of this is what I think is best. I just want somebody to like tell me what to do. Like, I'm here to help. If you need me to hold this thing for you or put this here, like, I need direction because I can't just self-motivate like that. But I'm happy to help. But usually the role I try to take is like making camp life fun. So since I can't contribute as much with like fire making or like shelter building, I just try to think of any way. Like, I painted that stupid sign in our season just to make people
This
like
one,
laugh and
right?
make people happy.
Outlive,
And we hung it there,
outlove,
and
right?
people loved it. But it was like something that people remembered, even though it wasn't even necessary. So I just try to make an environment where people are like enjoying living there together.
And honestly, it worked out well for you. You got pretty
Yeah.
damn far. What was your placement in Survive Season 1?
6.
6? There you go. Yeah, that's pretty great. So I asked this question because I'm curious which players that you guys see on your tribes were playing like you would play. Let's go ahead and bring up Lazar's team pictures again. Can we scroll through that? Just so we can get a visual.
Oh.
Lovely, and of course we've got Kiri on here. She was originally Team Jovian, so we'll pretend that's how he started. And then you guys would have had Amanda, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so who would you say is playing a lot like you play at the start?
I would say maybe I'm more of a Marisa.
Okay, tell me about that.
She's pretty quiet around camp, but she's like enjoyable to be around. Everybody likes her and enjoys her, but she's not like the intense gamer. Some of these players are so intense, and even like, you could walk into our camp right now and the energy in the air is different. Like, you can feel how just intense they are gaming, and I'm not really like that. I'm more of like a chill, laid back person. I think Marisa is like that.
All right.
I have a comment on that.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So, when the abduction happened and the 2 players swapped.
So 2 players, meaning Kiri and Amanda, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
When Amanda came over to the Jovian tribe, she pretty much immediately stated there was such a difference between like the vibe on the tribes.
Ooh, okay.
So she had said that there's a lot of outgoing players on Blizzard, and everyone kind of immediately came in, was gaming, was strategizing, whereas on Jovian, everyone came in, was just very chill, and wasn't really doing that game strategy until she came in and started talking to everyone about it. So
Wow, okay.
it was interesting, and she kind of noted that it was so different. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing to have her come in and experience the 2 different things.
This will be interesting, right? Because now we know we've got an industrious kind of lay low strategy-wise team, so we don't really know where everybody is at. Plus, Amanda's over there, right? But she's safe for whatever tribal she goes to, right? So they're gonna have to pick one of their 8 to go first. We have no idea what kind of ticking time bomb that is. And on the other side, we've got the more like vacation-y but super intense players. It seems like such an interesting juxtaposition of personalities with game styles, don't you think?
Yes.
It kind of sounds like your tribe is a little bit of a ticking time bomb too. So I guess we'll see. So let's go ahead. Let's pop down to the Jovian players. Eric, who do you think is playing more like you would play, like you just said?
Oh my god, that's such a hard decision because I definitely don't see like one player like fully as how I would play. I kind of see little bits and pieces of it, but the way I would play is kind of I'd want to be more social from the start. I'd probably stray away from talking game, which is a lot of them.
As we just
exactly a lot of they're so focused on more like the social connections. We haven't seen a lot of game talk, very very small game talk. But if I was to say, honestly, I feel like Danny's probably been the most social, like really trying to make those connections with as many people as possible, more one-on-one connections. I think that's very very important to have those one-on-one personal connections. It's one thing to be likable upon the entire group, but that doesn't mean anything if everybody kind of likes you the same way. It's those one-on-one connections that are very, very important, and I feel like Danny's doing that the best, and that's kind of how I would want to play from the start.
Amazing. Alisha, any thoughts? I know you said you're not the strategist, and you're not the backstabby type, but we don't even know what type these players are, really.
I really don't know, because it's kind of all over the place, but not in a bad way. Like, everyone is still very open to making different alliances. They're all kind of just like, well, I'm kind of connecting with this person, I'm connecting with this person. I think generally I'm a very loyal person, so if I was playing the game, whether it would be to my success or detriment, I would probably never double cross someone. I would find my people and stick with them forever, because I just, like, can't make those strategic moves sometimes. But
and players like that get to the end.
Yeah, and that's true. You know, if your alliance is really strong, you can go to the end.
So totally valid. Since we're already here and we already are kind of talking about it, I want to know the tea. I want to know the coffee. I want all of the juices and drinks. Tell me about, as much as you can. Sounds like this one's going to be harder. Who do we think is actually linking up with who? You've already mentioned Danny. They've got individual relationships with potentially everyone. And we know Amanda is the strategist. She's coming from Blazar and trying to play that game. Who have you seen her talking to, and is anybody receptive?
Do you want to start?
We do have some tea about Josh.
Oh, give me the tea.
Do you want me to share it, or do you?
Go for it.
Okay.
And
so
hold your tea like this while
okay.
talk. Okay.
So Josh, at the tribal that they went to, found an advantage.
Oh.
He thinks that no one knows he found it and is not planning on telling anyone. He was very adamant. Never will I ever tell anyone. However,
Not the case.
Danny saw him, and Danny has told a lot of people about this.
All right, that is
They
tea.
do not know what it is, but they know he has something, and he's also the one that's being talked about the most as...
Maybe an next boot?
Yes.
Is there a reason why?
Because when Amanda came in and started talking all this game, he was very receptive and glommed onto it.
And they don't
Where
like
everyone
that.
else was kind of like,
That is
we
not
don't
the
know how we
vibe of
feel
this
about
tribe.
it.
Okay. Can we give some claps for that? That's some
That
sick
was-
tea.
yeah,
Let's make that. Eric, tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, she nailed it. They didn't like that Amanda was coming into the camp and really wanted to just play the game, split people up. Whereas Josh was all for that, so that kind of put Josh down a few blocks. But let's talk about who I feel like is kind of in charge. So Lena and Danny, they are probably the most socially connected with everybody. When we've had like the confessionals, the one-on-one conversations to kind of say, who do you like, who do you not like? The not likes, it tends to be Josh and Amanda. Those seem to be like the underdogs.
Interesting.
Everybody seems to be saying Lena and Danny as the people who they gravitate towards, they want to talk to. Everybody else just seems to kind of be like in the middle. They have like some friendships, but like there doesn't seem to be like strong alliances forming just yet. It's more so, I like this person seems cool, I've talked to this person, but nobody's really said like, oh, we made a pact, like we're gonna work together. But just based off of conversations with each of these, they almost all like these two individuals right down here. So that's gonna be really strong with them. Natalie, I don't think anybody even knows that she's there, to be honest.
And are you friends with Natalie?
I have known Natalie for several years, since I was like 20, so like, yeah, 10 years now. We work together. She's never done anything like this before. I posted this game on Facebook, and she's like, I want to do it. So love that she's here. She's actually getting along with everybody very well. But once again, she's probably the biggest underdog, or like the biggest, like, I don't want to say floater, but she's kind of
Under the radar.
She's very under
the radar. Under the radar, or middle of the road.
Honestly, I never
Under
would
the
have guessed
radar.
that she's never done anything like
Never
this.
done
you,
anything.
you can't, like, she looks like game face
Yeah.
on.
And that's your perception from
Yeah.
another tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, no one's saying anything negative. Nobody wants to target her. She doesn't seem to be on the top of everyone's list. She's very under the radar. She's very likable. She's a jokester. She likes to make people laugh.
Mhm.
She knows how to talk to people. She's been in HR for a while now.
This is one of our HR people
Yes,
from our cast
yes.
assessment yesterday.
So I'm really interested to see how far she makes it. She's not very strong in challenges. I'm sure we've all seen that. She hasn't really done a lot. So if she can make it to that merge setting, people might utilize that as like a let me take her further.
Yeah. As like a goat, but maybe
just somebody,
actually a dark
just
horse.
somebody, exactly,
Yeah.
just somebody who's like, I think I can beat her in a challenge. Let's keep her on.
Great.
Yeah.
I want to know. Well, let's finish up with this tribe. But let's touch on the people we have not touched on yet. I want to know a little bit about Jeff, Alex, Meredith, and Ryan, please. Go ahead.
So Jeff has been a little isolated. He's been laying down a lot. He did have a headache for a little bit, but he also slept not under the tarp with everyone. He slept kind of just outside in the middle of camp along with Josh.
Do we think there were conversations happening without him at that point, maybe?
I don't know. I've just noticed that it's different where he's been kind of quiet, where other people are chatting more, so he's been a little bit off to the side. Nobody has said anything about targeting him because of that, but it's just kind of something I noticed and a little bit different. But I don't think it's setting him in a bad spot right now, but it could be that he's not bonding as much.
Got it.
So maybe something in the future.
Okay. Any thoughts on Alex, Meredith, Ryan?
So I talked to Alex a little bit. He seems to like Josh.
Oh.
So, but he also knows that Josh is kind of on like the bottom. So he needs to figure out how he's going to play that. Does he fill Josh in on what's going on, which could potentially convince Josh to utilize his power, which could save him, or is he going to straight kind of like stick with the tribe majority and keep Josh aside? So
More quick tea, just really quick. Do we know what this power is yet? Do we know?
So we do know. I don't know if the
Tribe knows.
the tribe knows.
Got it.
So
The tribe does not know.
yes, but Josh has explained what it is in his confessionals. You were at his last confessional, so I wasn't sure
If
you
he-
missed it.
if
He
we
found it
haven't-
before that.
If we haven't done it yet, let's save it for confession.
Okay.
Sure.
Alright, great.
I know we have posted it in the viewers, so like the viewers do know what it is, so like we can explain it. That's fine. I just don't know if the tribe knows. But the viewers already know, so let's just explain it.
Okay,
Anyway.
great.
So
Great.
it's a safety without power. So basically what this means is they're gonna go to a tribal council, they're gonna do their question and answer, and right before they vote, he can stand up, he can use his safety without power, he's gonna walk right to camp. Nobody can vote for him, he cannot vote for anybody
Okay, and
else.
then while you talk,
And
we
he's
need
safe.
We need the tea out.
We need the tea.
Yeah, okay, click it.
So, as we all know, Josh is on the bottom. Everybody wants to vote for. If they were going to tribal council right now, Josh is getting the majority of the votes. But he could very well use that advantage, walk out, and then it's going to be scrambling. No, I don't know if it.
Yeah, I don't think they have like a second.
And I don't even know if they would have like opportunities to speak to each other.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm using it. They're walking, and then now they're voting. So it's going to be really interesting
I
to
guess
see.
we'll find out, but we've got to have the self-awareness,
Yeah,
right? So-
absolutely.
Okay, Alisha, do you know anything about Meredith or Ryan real quick?
Ryan is a little bit quieter. I feel like right now he could be in a lot of people's games, but nobody has explicitly really said like, I want Ryan. Actually, Jeff did note that as a bigger guy, he thinks that it would be good if him and Ryan like went to
Shield.
the merge,
Yes,
yeah, at the same
shield
time.
them.
I did forget that. And Meredith, I think, is pretty steady. She did well in the last challenge, and I think she again is a little bit quieter, but still like everyone's kind of bonding. So there's a lot of middle of the road people.
There really are.
Because there's
There
not like
really
a
are.
top
You
and
know, I
bottom.
was thinking at the beginning of this episode that we were not going to get any tea from this tribe at all, but I'm quite happy with it.
So I mean, the reason for that though is they went to one tribal council, and their first tribal council was Frank, and Frank didn't talk strategy at all. So he was really the easy first boot. So there really wasn't a need to make alliances, make deals. It was a pretty unanimous decision. We're voting out Frank. And then since then they haven't been to a tribal council, so they really haven't had
also,
that
Carrie
opportunity.
might have been their second choice, but then the switch
Possibly,
happened,
exactly.
and then they haven't.
So they really haven't had the opportunity to throw anybody under the bus yet, make those alliances. I guarantee you, if they do go to the next tribal council, this will all change, and we will kind of see a line in the sand, I feel, and people will start making those really strong alliances.
Wonderful, thanks guys. Let's go ahead and move on to Lydia. We're going to give you the floor. Can we see Lydia's tribe up here again? Lazar, okay, and then we'll just remember that we were kind of involving Carrie in Jovian. Well, we talked about Amanda, so let's just talk about the way it is right now. Tell me, what is going on with these players?
Okay, so unlike that tribe, this tribe is straight to strategy, gaming, making solid alliances, and making plans for tribals that haven't even lost immunity for yet.
So who's on top?
So we have
What's the Dawn
on
Alliance?
top, we have the majority 5 is Savannah, Angela, Jorge, James, and Kevin.
Okay.
And I noticed at Tribal Council, if you remember, that 5 were sitting in the back row.
Which is
And
my
that would
number
have
one
been
rule. You
Marisa,
always sit
G,
in the back row.
Mojo, and Carrie on the bottom, all
Mhm.
sitting in the front row. So that's, I think, pretty solid. I don't think that's gonna change.
Does that read cocky to you, Lydia? Because I generally have a rule. When I'm playing a game, I always sit in the back row, and I'm terrible at challenges, so I go to tribal a lot.
I think it comes down to having the experience. These are experienced players, and they know you should sit in the back row because then you can see everybody, you can see who's talking to who's whispering during tribal, and I just think they have more knowledge and just awareness in the game to do that. I think it was intentional. But so you have that 5, and then you do kind of have a 3 on the bottom with G, Mojo, and Marisa. However, Mojo and G have made it very obvious around camp, just all throughout the day, that they are very tight.
They got chemistry.
They
understand
were like
each other.
magnets. I mean, within minutes of stepping into camp, I could already tell the chemistry between them. So that really is tight there, and I think they all like everyone because Mojo and G are very likable people. They're very friendly, outgoing. Most of this tribe is outgoing, but so now the discussion is kind of to break up the Mojo G duo because of the 5 sticking
So
together.
these are the pre-plans that you were referring to earlier.
Yeah, so
Who's running that alliance? And do we have an alliance name? Do we know?
I think they do, and I can't remember what it is. I think they do.
Does it have anything to do with a car?
I wouldn't say that out of the 5 that I could tell you a top. I do think Savannah was like kind of a late addition because this is actually relevant to their tribe. Amanda actually was kind of on top of this tribe and did start that majority alliance. So Amanda put together this alliance that is continuing after she's gone.
And was Savannah included in that original alliance?
So originally it was Angela, Kevin, James, Jorge, and Amanda.
Okay.
And they said, we need to pull in one more, and Savannah was kind of the add-on, but individually talking to them, when they were saying who they wanted to work with, they all were saying Savannah individually also. So I think that she doesn't have anything to worry about, and I think that she knows what she's doing.
So this is really interesting to me because you've pointed out some huge game players.
Mhm.
I know another game player, and that game player is Mojo. He scored second place in the game that I played with him. So it's interesting that out of all the game players, that's one of the ones on the bottom. We just saw a pretty sad tribal for myself watching my mom leave the game. And in Mojo's confessional, he noted, I love Carrie. I would love to keep her around. And I almost did something to flip it because I think he knows. I think he knows there is a majority alliance and a minority alliance. But he chose not to because it was too early. Will that come back to bite him? Or is there a possibility to note to Savannah that she's on the bottom and maybe pull her in?
I don't think he would ever be privy to that information, honestly. But I will say one mistake he may have made was openly telling somebody about the game that he came in second place in. So that really raised his threat level, and the discussion that happened about, what will we do next after the Carrie vote. It was really kind of like, well, we have Marisa, Mojo, and G. What do you think? Immediately it was, well, split up G and Mojo because that's a tighter duo, and they feel like Marisa will be strong with them if they were to keep her around.
That is a pretty good strategy.
And they did all agree that G would be more likely to stick with the Blizzard tribe rather than Mojo, who they feel like is more maybe likely to flip and work with the other tribe.
Very interesting. Did you guys hear anything about potentially working with people from the other tribe other than Amanda, obviously?
They want to stay tribe strong, from what
Really?
it seems like. That's what it is as of right now.
Mhm.
But we also discussed on last night's show there are some cross-tribal connections.
Do we know them off the bat?
I mean, we don't know it from here. I just know it from your show from yesterday. Didn't you say Danny and Mojo?
Danny and Mojo both played in my season. They had a very strong alliance.
So that
I
could
know
be a
that's a
possibility.
I
possibility.
will say, at the pool challenge when they were all, Mojo and Danny did get out of the pool at the same time just by chance, and they were doing a lot of whispering on the way back.
Oh, that is
risky move, you think?
I do, because everyone had a bird's eye view of it, and it was pretty obvious to me. So
And if you saw it, there's a really good chance that somebody else saw it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I love it. I'm totally satiated and full from all of this tea. Thank you so much, you guys. Is there any last fun things you want to say about camp life? We dug into what the camps look like, who was having in what role, which groups are becoming power players, which groups are falling a little bit of the wayside. Tell me at least one person that you're rooting for before we go.
You can start.
I don't know, you go. Who am I rooting for?
I mean, I feel like I'm biased in saying Natalie. I really want her to do well in her first game. So of course I have to root for her. I love people who are playing for the very first time. I think it's such an underdog experience.
And
They have no idea.
Yeah.
They have no idea what they're doing. So to come in here and really thrive and do well, win challenges, those are the people who I'm rooting for.
I'm kind of liking Lena, and I would love to see a female on top of this game. So I think, she seems fun, relatable, social.
Perfect. And we have the two first births were men, so that we already have a surplus of women right now. Maybe that trend keeps going on, especially if Mojo gets voted out next, right? So,
Awesome.
possibly. Lydia, what are your thoughts? Who are you rooting for?
Okay, I actually have two, so I'm breaking the rules.
That's okay. They got you.
Definitely rooting for Angela and James. They both just, on a personal level, are have touched my heart in their confessionals, and just the place in life that they're in, and what this specific game means to them right now, and that's the way to get me. So I'm kind of silently rooting for them.
So maybe future fan favorites in those two? From fan favorite?
I can see Danny being fan favorite material, honestly.
Right. Possibly. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Alisha, Eric, Lydia, for joining me. I loved your insight, and thank you for being such dedicated, hardworking, and unbiased camp counselors. It's really, we're just going to applaud to you.
Thank you.
So,
One final cheers.
Final cheers. We'll do a final cheers. That's the tea from Camp Life on episode 2. Thank you so much. Good night, and I love you, Mom.